What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video. And in this video, we got a few different subjects that we want to come and mix up with you today, or a few different topics, right? So the first thing I want to discuss specifically is pertaining more to your journey, right? Because that's been a subject that I've been going back to repeatedly over and over again, right? So it's the journey. And in this video right here, we want to apply the concepts of precision and the concepts of coordination and appliance, right? But more so the aspect of precision, right? So let's get to it, right? So when we talk about in this video right here, so like the most important thing that we got to understand is the same thing I talked about in our last video when we talked about the journey, is being able to remember and understand yourself and what the heck you went through, right? Because if you can't understand what the hell you've been through and all the shit that you done overcame, you have no ammunition to go into the next battle or the next phase of life that you're getting into, right? Because that's what you're gonna need, right? Life has so many different cycles, right? Life has so many different phases that we get into, right? And it's our ability to stack what we learned and what God has done for us, or what we have learned and what we have functions that we built in our last cycle, right? Because every cycle comes with a challenge, right? You know what I'm saying? Something that beats you the fuck up, right? But there comes a point in time where you start fighting back and start beating that shit the fuck up, right? And whatever tools that you used and the methods of success that you have in those spaces of what you need to take to the next function, right? Whatever you learn, that's just how it is, right? You know what I'm saying? And that's how you build. Because even in the concept of building something, right? You know what I'm saying? You apply, you stack what you know. You stack days, you build on top of what you already have, right? So in terms of having a function, right? In terms of going through your life, right? And those moments where God pulls you out of those situations, I expressed in my last video that when you go through stuff, you have to be able to take those functions. You know, you have to be able to go back in those spaces, man, them fucked up spaces that you go through, and be able to pull from that shit. And, you know, regardless of how fucked up it is, because it got something important in it. It got some things that God done pulled you out of. So you got to be able to take from those spaces, right? And you got to be able to apply what you know, what God did for you, into the next season, right? So that's the first thing, right? And then, you know, being able to apply that into the next season, right? And the season after that, and the season after that, right? So that's a little bit of encoding. When we talked about the subject of encoding versus decoding, right? So that's applying that aspect to it, right? But even on top of that, the important thing to know is when you get into a function like this is to be able to, like I said, stack days, but also be able to take what you know works, right? Because what you know works, and what you know what God did for you, you got to be able to continue to build that into the next season and then into the next season, because that's something that is actually eternal, and that is something that, you know what I'm saying, will continue to work for you, right? So that's the nature of this video right here, is being able to stack on top of those things, right? You know what I'm saying? And being able to stack on top of what you know work. And the last thing I want to talk about, though, the most important thing I want to talk about is, of course, it's got to be distraction. Like, it's got to be all the bullshit and all the fuck shit that gets in the way of you doing what you know, right? Because it comes to a point to where everything you see in reality does not represent what reality actually is. And the only man who knows what the fuck actually going on is the man who knows the fucking journey of himself. The shit that God has pulled him out of, and the shit that has, you know what I'm saying? And the shit that he done fucking been, the bullshit that he done fucking been through, but God done pulled him out himself, right? The man who knows that is the man who has the ammunition and the strength to actually battle and to this, you know what I'm saying, against the distractions of today's society. You know what I'm saying? Or who actually has that ammunition to fight against distraction, right? So in terms of so that's just the way it is, man. The man who knows what's in himself and the man who knows what the fuck he done been through has the ammunition to actually fight against, to actually be able to create something in this generation, in this fucked up generation. The only man who can create something in this generation is the man who knows himself, and the man who knows who the fuck he is and what God has done for him, or even just what he's been through, his life and his journey. Going back to the last subject, or the last video I talked about, when we talked about the journey, right? The man who knows himself, the man who knows all of those deep, dark places that he done been through, and has been able to build and carve himself out of those nasty situations and turn a fucked up situation into a positive one somehow. And knows how to keep doing that and keep turning them negative fucking situations into positive situations. The man who can do that is the man who will overcome. That is the man who will continue to build in times of distraction, illusion, and that's what it comes with. That's what comes with building something new, and that's what comes with building something that is when you're pioneering. That's what it comes with. It comes with having to tear down everything you see. If you can't tear down everything you see, you know what I'm saying? If you can't get past if you can't take what you have from your journey and use it as the ammunition and use it as the source of your strength in order to tear down what you see in front of you, you'll never be able to tear down what you see in front of you. That's the nature of what distraction is in this generation. It's a generation coming up, tearing down everything it fucking sees in front of it. But how can you tear something down if all you see is it? How can you build something fresh, new, that's inside of you when all you see is what you don't want to fucking, keep manifesting, right? Because that's the nature of it. If you see it, that's where your energy goes. So how can you go back into places of the past and continue to bring out the journey that you've been through and the things that you've overcome and continue to focus on those things, right? So that's gonna be I'm gonna end this video right here. Hopefully somebody can take that. I'm gonna actually close this whole message on that point right there. Because that was a gem. That was solid. So I'm gonna conclude this video right here. Like I said, most importantly, it's just that's the only way you can do that. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna conclude this video right here. See y'all on the next one. Peace.